Joel Schumacher is a filmmaker that doesn't get anywhere near enough credit. He created a lot of pulpy and debated films like Phone Booth, yes, but he also gave us some undeniable classics like A Time to Kill, Falling Down, and The Client. Of course, his biggest controversies were Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but I think both of those movies are far better than what we give them credit for, especially for what they're trying to be and not what we want them to be, but that's another video entirely. This video is about the one Schumacher film that has stood the test of time, the one that nobody really debates for good reason, and that would be 1987's vampire classic, The Lost Boys. The one thing Schumacher has always been undeniably talented at is style and essence, and that's one thing this film is oozing with. It's highly credited with reinventing vampires in media, making them culturally a lot younger, cooler, and sexier. They in this film have a lot of punk influence with their earrings and the leather jackets and the attitude and the anti-establishment and whatnot. I think this is definitely because Schumacher started his career in fashion. He studied at the Parsons School of Design, so it's no wonder why everything he does stylistically is very distinct, and this film is super 80s in that way, but not in the way that screams nostalgia, but in a way that's an energy, a sound, a feeling, and I think that's because Schumacher didn't just have his finger on the pulse of the cultural zeitgeist, but he could predict the next heart that would beat, and he would put that kind of innovation into more than just the costume, but in the sets, directing, cinematography, concepts, and general designs of the film. Like the soundtrack, it's stylish and iconic. It went 2 times platinum and is a huge part of the film's aesthetic. And look at these big and grand sets that are built for these very quick scenes. These locations are not often reoccurring, and yet there's this grandiose effort being put into it. Why? Because Schumacher cares. It makes the world feel rich and vast, layered. It's something massively missing from a lot of contemporary movies, an effort, a care that either died with this era or the more likely theory that studios just don't want to do it anymore. They're convinced that change is evolution, which isn't true. You know, it's hard to think of it now, but this film actually received quite rough reviews at the time. Variety called it a horrifically dreadful vampire teensploitation entry that daringly advances the theory that all those missing children pictured on garbage bags and milk cartons are actually the victims of blood-sucking bikers, which I think is a gross mischaracterization of the film and an obtuse reading of some of the story elements. But the review that stuck out the most was Roger Ebert's 2.5-star response, claiming the film had a cast that's good down the line but is ambitious entertainment that starts out well but ends up selling its soul. In a word, saying that the film is big and bold with a solid cast but has no substance, which, all respect to Ebert, this is once again another take that I can't get on board with. The film has heavy familial themes and threads of identity that I think aren't especially fleshed out in the most noteworthy way, but they're still strong. We have Michael, who gets transformed into a vampire and his immediate thoughts are to go to his brother for help and comfort, and then when offered a life of immortality and power with a group of guys he idolizes and the love of his present, he still chooses to stick with his brother because it's the right thing to do. Then with Sam, he's confronted with the knowledge that his brother is a vampire, something he's quickly grown to hate and fear as a result of these comics he's been reading, and still, despite his fear, he sticks with his brother. He's believing that despite his life deficiency, his brother is still a good person and worth believing in. They save their mother, they come together, it's simple but strong. So yes, the costume design and the look, especially during the final act with Sutherland specifically, is incredible, but there is substance and a fair amount of it. There's also a lot of homoeroticism going on. Schumacher, obviously being a gay man, he often expressed sexuality through his films. Alex Winter even said that due to his past experience of the nightlife at the height of the AIDS crisis, he knew and met a lot of trans, gender fluid and gay people, and he drew from them a lot for inspiration on his character of Marco. It's all layered, and these elements topple on top of each other to create the time that helped reinvent the vampire. The practical effects are gorgeous, the style is neon and energetic, there's details and concentration in every vessel in this movie. Like the grandfather who's into taxidermy, by the end of the film we know that he knew about vampires all along, and his hobby of taxidermy is quite funny because for a start, it's his creations that destroy David, like he was working on a table of steaks or something. But most of all, taxidermy is a craft that operates on the illusion of life, making something breathing that's long been dead. Sound familiar? Also, the title itself, The Lost Boys, being a reference to the group of boys in Peter Pan that never grow up. Now, this film went on to be hugely influential, being a big point of reference for something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but also Blade and vampire media in general that isn't so explicit with their homages. It made vampires okay to appear younger, sexy in a way that isn't suave but in a raw, young, energetic way. They could appeal to a younger audience. They aren't your dad's vampires. They can be in teen media now. They can work in a lot more context than they used to. It's a classic that radiates style, sexuality, sex appeal, and the 80s. It's a horror that isn't overly scary but wants to bring you along on an adventure, and I think it does it incredibly. There's a remake in the works that's set in the modern day, and I just don't at all see it working. So much of what makes this film isn't in the concept or in the script or anything like that. It's in the people, it's in the vision, the style, the essence, and that's not something you can replicate. Joel Schumacher, for all of his faults and controversies as a director, is a visionary not easily replicated. I don't even think it's possible. He's so unique. That kind of neon and vibrance and life is so specific, and it's specific to a man that's no longer with us. So I hope the remake will be good, but will it hold a candle to this? Probably not. But that's just me. Have you seen The Lost Boys? If so, let me know what you think of it, let me know what you think of this video, and whether it's one that reinvents a classic horror villain type or not. As always, keep watching movies.